more. Oh, damn it. That's how we make decisions. Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Remind podcast. My name's David Masterton and I'm joined by Dr. Ashley Morland. And today we're talking about how do we make decisions. You may have seen in the intro, depending on what's been picked, there's either the eeny, meeny, miny, mo, there's a
coin toss,
flip of a coin. Yep. Then there's the growing trend of, dear ChatGPT, what do I do? But I'm not necessarily, I don't think we're thinking about that at the moment. That's when we have probably decision paralysis or we need more information. I think what we're going to be talking about is how do we make decisions and how are they affected by what situation and environment that we're in and what's happened in the past. So
yeah, absolutely.
Let's dive into it. Let's decide to start.
Do we need to ponder on that? Maybe just let me overthink starting for 3 weeks.
Hang on, I'll just ask my AI.
Okay. Oh,
right.
I'm feeling in my body that it's a full body yes.
Oh, I do like those ones.
Yeah. All right, let's jump in.
There's it's the ultimate cheat code. All right, go.
All right, so when pondering on what to chat about, this is something I thought, we don't have an episode on this, and it's something that is so important because I'm going through massive life changes at the moment, massive, really, really big life decisions. And it's really interesting because I'm someone who is very intuitive, very tuned into my body, very spirit-led. And so I've made really, really major decisions in my life in the past, and it has been, as I sort of just alluded to before, I feel it in my body. It's just like a full body yes. Every cell of my body, it's a yes. And I think, Dave, you and I in the past have spoken, when I say past, I mean many moons ago, 2 years ago, about it's easy to follow that intuition when the data is there to support it, when it makes sense, when it's logical. Very, very easy to follow that. And so when you have a full body yes, and then you assess that on paper, and it's all like, yes, this is an amazing opportunity, and that's a full body yes, oh, happy days.
Easy.
Likewise, if it's a full body no, and then you assess it, and it really looks like a no, happy days, easy peasy.
Yep.
But when it's a full body yes, and on paper, it looks like you're entering a torture chamber. Or when it's a full body no, and on paper, it looks like it would solve all of your problems. I can't tell you.
This discussion, Ash.
Yes, the inner turmoil that comes up when you know in your body, like I'm someone 100% of the time I will follow my body's calling. But sometimes that can be really hard when your logic and when the data and evidence presented in front of you is telling a different story or presenting possibly different conclusions. The other thing that has been really interesting is this really big life decision that we're confronted with at the moment is a family decision. And for the first time, I'm navigating a major family decision with my husband. Now, we've only been married for 3.5 years. We've been together for 7 years. And in that time, we've made decisions like buying a house or whatever. That's okay. But
still major, but
major
it feels
decision,
like
but
this decision.
It was easy because we knew what we wanted. We were very aligned with it. We knew what we were looking for. So we had very tangible data.
It makes sense.
It made sense, yeah, exactly. We knew what we were looking for. Now we're in a situation where we have to make a decision that doesn't make sense. And it is challenging because the data presented to us in a lot of ways would lean us in a certain direction. And my body gave me an immediate response. And my husband doesn't work like that.
Oh,
he is a ponderer. He is someone who has to chew on something, really digest it, sit with it, talk about it. He is someone who is and he said this to me when we were dating. He said, Ash, something you need to know about me is I'm a slow burn. And
yeah, he likes to get to room temperature. And then and look, hey.
See, that's a really good analogy, Dave. I like that because he likes to wait until he's at room temperature, whereas I can be fully frozen and know that I can make this decision to be eaten before I get to room temperature because I know I will get to room temperature eventually.
Look, yeah, I think you and I, Ash, are very much on the as soon as I know or feel it, decision is made within sort of milliseconds, and what are we waiting for?
Yeah.
That's a personality type. Doesn't mean it's good or bad. And there's other people that need to get used to the idea first. And I guess it's being able to navigate and sort of go, well, especially when there's joint decisions involved, how you can navigate that while both people feeling as though they can still express how they feel and, you know, go in the same direction.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's really powerful when you speak about this, because actually a theme, this has been coming up with me a lot recently, actually. That is, and I've said it a number of times this week, I've said to people, I'm all in on my intuition, right? And it's like, okay, now I can't stand playing poker. I do not have the tolerance for poker. I don't have the tolerance for chess, right? It's like, for me, it's wham, bam, move on. Not this call, sit, move on, da-da-da. Mm-hmm. Now, when I say I'm all in on my intuition, it means that I can't look at the cards. But my intuition's telling me to go all in.
Yeah.
And when that happens, it makes no sense. How could you be all in if you don't know what the cards are?
Yep.
And in this case, it's sort of like, okay, you've said it before. The easiest thing, and especially when you start tapping into your intuition, is when your logic and intuition combine to make superpower that allows you to go, yes, yes, yes.
Mm.
Then when the hardest thing is, when your intuition says turn left, but you look right, and when you look right, it looks fantastic, and left looks terrible. But your intuition says, that's
left.
the direction.
Yes.
Right? And then you're sort of going, but why? Why?
Mm.
And then you go, okay, I'll do it. And you do it for a couple of steps. And you're like, okay, well, at least I'm following my intuition. My body's saying yes, I'm on the right track.
And
you
it's
still
almost
look
like
back.
a pride that comes over you, right? Like it's this ego of like, see, I followed my intuition. I'm so proud of myself.
I am love and light. And then you go another couple of steps, and then it starts getting real.
Yeah.
And you keep on looking back and going,
glass,
what the hell?
broken glass on the road, and you don't have shoes.
Yep.
What are we going to do now,
and then
Ash?
things keep and you keep on going, and you keep on going, and then people are going, why are you going this way? And you don't have a right answer, not for them anyway.
Yeah.
But then when you sort of say, I'm leaning into my intuition, isn't that irresponsible what you're doing?
Yeah.
Because logic says you need to be over there. So not only don't you have the full body yes, and other people aren't giving you any validation, or they give you that look of, wow, as long as you're happy. Right? They can't process it.
I'm happy if you're happy. It's the ultimate I do not approve or understand or like you're an idiot.
It's
but
more like they don't understand. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because again, you're going left where the rest are going potentially right, because it also feels more comfortable. And at least if there's a crowd going right, at least that way you're all f***ing up together.
Yeah.
There's that sort of sense of, okay, well, I'm not alone. So you're turning left, it looks dreary, you're relatively alone, or there's a spattering of people, but you're all too focused on trying to dodge the next bloody assault that's coming on you as you're healing. Now you're 10 steps in, 100 steps in, and it keeps on going. And then it's still not improving.
As you said, 100 steps in.
The weather's not changing.
Yeah.
Right?
As you said, 100 steps in, the thing that came to me was at 100 steps in, it's still not better, but you're too far in to turn around. Like,
Oh, no, you can always turn around.
It feels like,
You
it feels like you're too
yeah.
far in, you're too far deep. And so that's when the doubt starts coming up for me. It's like, did I hear it wrong? Like, the longer you're in,
Or-
the more steps you take,
Yeah.
and it still hasn't turned around. You're like, oh.
And it's, yeah. And where's the validation now? There still is none. Apart from your intuition saying you're on the right track. And then you keep on going. And then more things happen. And you're not seeing the results. So you are literally anchored in belief. And if we sort of tie this back to my journey, then as you keep on going, you get little crumbs of things get a little bit better. Just a little crumb. But then that crumb is to keep you going while another something comes up that you have to navigate or whatever. And so you keep on going and you keep on going. And you realise that you look around and the only thing keeping you on the path at that point is your intuition. Mm-hmm. And you don't know where the you are. You don't know where the horizon is. But you're led on faith and you can feel within your intuition that something big is happening.
Yeah.
Something big is coming. So delusion enters the chat. And not little delusion, grand delusion, right? Because it's in that belief. And then when you speak some of those things into existence, the people sort of say, well, as long as you're happy, they now look at you and go, are you okay? Because nothing makes sense, but you can feel something big and you're no longer sort of going, I have to hide this. So if they ask you, you tell them. It's not like you're going around, with a sign on your front, ringing a bell, telling them about the fact you're a grand prophet. No, none of that. I'm not assuming, by the way, that that's my calling. It's not. But it's just trying to get a vision in your head. But then people sort of say, why are you doing it? And then they open the conversation. You start telling them, well, I started because of intuition. I'm doing this and doing that and doing that. But I can feel it's the right thing. How can you feel it's the right thing? I feel it in my bones. I feel it here. I feel it there. And I feel something massive is coming in. There's other things that sort of drop in. And it's like, wow, this is going to be quite big. Not because I need it to be big. I don't need anything to be big. It just feels big. And then the difference between your reality and what you can feel is happening. I think I've said this, probably for the last 18 months. That gap is delusion. This is what's happening, David or Ash.
This is what you feel is going to happen. In front of you. Yeah.
Yeah, this is reality right now. Because reality only works in the 3D. It's real, right? It's not belief. Belief is not reality, right? Belief gets you to your new reality, the next part. So as you're bridging that gap, that is 100% delusion, especially for people that don't believe. So, and it's risky. And then if you've got two people who have different risk profiles, that can be a challenge.
Yeah. As you were saying that gap between what you feel or what you're called to and the reality that's being presented in front of you, you call delusion and I call faith. Because
both, yeah, absolutely,
yeah, and
absolutely, agree.
This is all just semantics, because delusion and faith really is the same thing. To someone who doesn't have a concept of faith or doesn't have that spiritual frame of reference, is going to look at you and go, "You are crazy," and likewise,
or even belief. Like you think about Michael Jordan's story. He believed, right, in himself, in his talents. Now, yes, he had talents, but the belief that he had at the start of his career to how he was positioning himself wasn't just a safe, comfortable, I'm good, I'm going to be, a really good basketball player. He's like, I'm going to be the greatest. And that was belief. And so, yes, absolutely. And people are like, yeah, man, you're good. But come on, settle down. And you think about how the whole story that came up with Nike and the Air Jordans, like that, all of that was centered around his belief he was going to be the greatest. There was a little bit of evidence, but he had to bridge that. And like, you have to bridge that.
Yeah.
whatever that is.
Absolutely.
Right?
And the only way to keep going is one foot in front of the other. And that's so one of my mentors once said, Ash, the only way that you can eat an animal is the only way you can eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And so when things feel really big and you know that it's worth pursuing and you know that what's on the other side of it is going to be absolutely worth it, even if you don't even know what's on the other side of it. That's the other thing.
Oh, tell me about it.
But one bite at a time. It's the only way to get through it. And sometimes that looks like managing energy, because I'm someone who, if I bite something, I eat it like a pit bull. So sometimes, just taking a bite and chewing and swallowing and taking the next bite and really chewing it and swallowing it. Otherwise, you're going to end up in all kinds of problems. You're going to end up with digestive issues. You're going to end up with fatigued jaw. You're going to end up with dental problems. You're going to end up with all the issues because you didn't pace yourself. And that's a big lesson for me. But what I really want to come back to is how do we tie this into relationship? Because you have been in a season where you're single and you have made a lot of decisions and you have been really followed by your led by your intuition. And for me, my frame of reference of that is Holy Spirit. I don't know how I could move through this season without knowing the character and heart of God. Because if I didn't inherently, with every fiber of my being, believe that God was good and has good intentions for me, even if it looks messy, I don't think I could get through this. And when I say this, I don't mean this decision we're facing. I mean like just life. It's a bigger picture.
Overall,
bigger picture. But in terms, I'd really like to come back to how do you navigate this stuff in relationship? Because you have been through, oh my goodness, one heck of a season, and there's going to come a time when you look back on this and it's going to be a wild story to tell. And you've navigated that single. And there's been times in my life where I've made really, really wild decisions where other people have looked on and gone, you're stupid, you're crazy, why would you do that? But I knew in myself that that's what I was being called to do and that was the right decision. But how do we navigate this in relationship? And that's what I really, really want to come back to, because if you and your partner you can be aligned in every way. You can have the most amazing relationship. You can have great, communication and everything else. But if you have a different process of making decisions and different needs in that decision-making process, how do you love each other through it? And
that's a big one.
Yeah, especially because when when I get that full body yes, and my husband will probably land on a yes, I have to be patient and I have to not push it. And the more I try to raise it or question it or talk about it or whatever, the longer, it's almost like the more pressure there is and the longer that gets dragged out. And it is not natural for me to feel and hold.
And I think that's the core of it.
Yes. And so if
it's actually, it's a mirror for something that it's like, why are you in a rush? And because I can't talk about doing this healing journey in relationship because I haven't, right? So, but what I can say is I've been given nothing that I wanted and everything I didn't know I needed.
Yeah.
And one of those things was patience.
Yep.
And one of those things was being able to have drive while being in the moment. What is it that means that I have to go, I understand, and I have to fire out the barrel? Now, I used to think that was me just sort of going, I'm driven, I'm passionate. Like all of these really good framings, like, why wait? Right? Because I could logically understand all of that and I could place it in a neat little box. But what I was being taught is something that I'm starting to slowly comprehend now. That is, if everything that is meant for you, you're never going to miss, why are you in a rush? And if you're being called to slow down and to hold that anticipation of you know what you want to do and you've come to that very quickly and you know it's the right decision, what's wrong with waiting? And so in that instance, it's, well, you've been given the gift of being in a relationship with someone which is helping you through that experience.
Yep, 100%. And this is exactly how our relationship started, because sounds crazy, but I knew when I met him that he was my person, he was my future. I knew. But he needed to go through this journey of, I'm not ready for a relationship. I can't do this. And then a period of closeness. And then I'm not ready for this. And then a period of closeness. And then I can't do this. And so that it's classic like anxious attachment versus avoidant attachment, right? So
Yeah.
I was just chatting to a friend about this morning, about how beautiful that journey was and how healing it was for me, because as someone who has been like, as I said, like that pit bull kind of just go for it. Mm-hmm. My husband has been since day one my lesson in, or my journey into breaking off that. Still, you know, right back then I was suffocated with anxious desperation, and I wanted to hear from him and I wanted to force it and I wanted to do all these things, but I knew that was coming up for me. And this was really early in my healing journey as well. And so it doesn't mean to say that I wouldn't lose it. And I think this is something that's so important, is the feelings that will come up in that person who is more, probably more prone to anxious attachment than anything. The feelings that come up, those feelings of suffocation, those feelings of like, unsafety and wanting to rush and push and force and all those kinds of things, they are allowed to be there. And shaming yourself for it is actually not helpful and not healthy. No. But instead, process through the feelings rather than project them into the space between you. And that has been one of the most life-changing experiences. So obviously early in our relationship, I had to learn how to process through my feelings rather than project them into our relationship or our communication. And whether it is that, like that hot and cold in relationship, I'm not saying stick around forever and wait for someone to change their mind about being with you. That's not what I'm saying at all.
And we're not talking about assimilation either.
No, exactly. But what I am saying is that if you go into every situation with the belief that this is happening for you, that being close and then pulling away doesn't mean to say that you will end up together or won't end up together if you just hold space. What it does mean, though, is that that experience is teaching you how to hold space. And whether you end up together or not, you still get that lesson. It's happened for you. And so in this, with decision-making in relationships, I think sometimes, like if you have a dynamic where one person tends to be more impulsive, which could be spirit-led or it could just be reckless. If one person...
I've been both.
If one person does just tend to be more impulsive and the other person is more considered and more needs more time, then it's the exact same lesson. It just reminded me so much of that early journey in my relationship, in going, okay, so the person who tends to be more impulsive needs to be able to feel what they're feeling in those impulsive urges, be able to process...
And hold it.
Not hold it, but actually be able to process it so that they can then hold the space for the other person to journey through their stuff. Because the thing is, the way I sort of imagine it is, imagine throwing food at someone who's already got a mouthful of food. They can't fit any more in. They can't chew any faster, but they can't take what you're trying to throw at them until they have chewed, swallowed, and digested what they've already got. And so one of the big things I've had to learn, and this is so relevant in just relationship in general, but also especially in this season of decision making, is that sometimes, oh my gosh, this analogy just got absolutely revolting.
I mean, after throwing food at people, it's going to get more revolting. You're on fire.
Sometimes the ways that we can help and partner with our slow burn partner is A, stop throwing more food at them so that they don't have more to chew. And B, ask, how can I help you to digest what you've got? Now, what I imagined is them giving me half the food, giving me half their food to chew on. I can't do the chewing for them. I can't swallow it for them. It's going to go in the wrong gut. But what we can do is actually just go, hey, I'm here. I've got you. What do you need? How can I help you in this? And it might be, I just need you to stop bringing it up for a few days. But how do we honor the other person is, okay, well, if you need me to stop bringing it up, I need to have some certainty around when we're going to circle back to this conversation. So how about we give it till Friday and, you know, we can just revisit it. It's okay. It doesn't mean to say you have to have a decision by Friday, but it does mean to say that Friday we're going to revisit this again, which means you have the need met that you have, which is you need time to not be nagged. You need time to process. And I have my need met of certainty of when we're going to sit with this again. And that has been a very, very effective relational tool. I've taught this to many clients as well around it's not just you need to process your anxious attachment and then that's it. It's actually both of you need to have your needs met. What do you need to feel safe? I need to know that we're actually going to come back to it, that this isn't just going to get swept under the rug and 2 years later we still haven't had a conversation about it.
Bingo.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah. And what do you need? I just need some time and space to think through this, to talk through this, to actually, you know, feel into this and let it land and process this without being nagged. Because the more I nag, the more it distracts me from actually just trying to process. Okay, great. Now, what conclusion could get both of those separate lots of needs met? Well, one is you need to feel what you're feeling, but it's not their responsibility to make it better in the moment. You need to have the support and skills and tools to be able to process what you're feeling and still be heard, but it can't be from them. You need to be able to give them certainty. So what's that going to look like? When do you commit to coming back to circling to this conversation? We're going to have a conversation after the kids go to bed on Friday night, for example. That one thing immediately puts both nervous systems into a state of certainty and safety.
Yeah.
And it's not about the decision. It's not about the yes. It's not about the no. It's not about the outcome. It's not about anything else. It's about the journey that you're going on and the skills that you're learning to do relationship in those difficult seasons. So anyway, that's really what I wanted to talk about today in how do you navigate those tricky situations where two people have very, very different methods of reaching conclusion and making decisions, but also how do you honor each of your needs without outsourcing or abdicating responsibility to the other person.
Yeah, and I think you've nailed it on the head. And if I was to simplify it, it's sort of like on one side in this scenario, it's one person saying, give me space to process this. And on the other side, the person saying, give me comfort that you're doing it without saying it. Right? Give me something, as opposed to, if I can't ask you about it, then how do I know it's relevant to you and you're just not completely forgetting about it, and then we have to circle back 2 weeks later.
Exactly, and there's been no progress.
You need another 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's about doing that. And I think earlier on I sort of said we'll come back to the anxious attachment, to be able to hold that energy, right? It's not necessarily to say to hold it, to process it, because let me give you an example. For me, the most exciting part of a plane takeoff is when engines are at near full thrust and you are going nowhere. You know that part?
Yeah, I do.
Right? Where you're sitting at the end of the runway, the turbos are going brrr, and the brakes are going hold.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's about we need more acceleration, not just a slow. So and now a bit like an aeroplane, you can't hold that forever. But it's one of those things to be able to go, and like you and me, we don't generally like to sit on the brakes with engines at full spin. We like to sort of get in the air, right?
Yeah.
So it's about sort of going, all right, we can do that. It's not about sort of saying people that are quick and spontaneous and have this drive to make and move fast and break things should stop doing that because it's bad. It's knowing how to use another
energy.
tool in the toolbox of, can I slow this down? Can it be considered? Because sometimes in an anxious attachment or in an anxious sort of way, you need to move because you can't not be moving because you're worried about something. It's sort of like, I need the decision done now and I know it's ready. I know I'm good to go. I know I complete it. I know it's the right direction. What the hell are we waiting for? Why are you slowing me down? Why are we waiting? We're wasting an opportunity here. Why, right? And I think it all comes down to, for me, has been, imagine you'll get to understand the why once you're done.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, it'd be so much easier for me if I knew the why beforehand. It's like, wouldn't it? But you don't learn that way.
Oh, exactly. It's like defeats the purpose. It's the whole, what's the point?
So coming back to intuition, you're walking down this road and you've turned left and there's not many people around you and it's pretty crappy and you've given up the going to the right, which looks great. And then suddenly the fog sets in and you can't see 3 inches past your nose. And all you're guided by is moving forward. And it's sort of like, and then your mind starts playing tricks on you. What if I fail? Is there still earth underneath my feet if I walk forward? And your intuition saying, just keep on going, just keep on going. And one thing I've found with intuitive nudges, while they feel right, they are rarely easy. Two different things. And I've found myself going, well, I'm following my intuition. Where's my f***ing payback?
Yeah.
Why is it that I'm handing and trusting and believing and I'm being fed drips just to keep me alive, to keep me going because I'm some sort of f***ing idiot that's delusional and nobody really cares, no one's really supporting and, as long as I'm happy and all of these type of things. You start to realise that you don't have the why, you don't have the how, you get angry, you start to realise, yes, this is conditional until it doesn't become conditional. And then again, if you subscribe to the spiritual stuff, no, to be spiritual properly, you're going to have to eat this shit and enjoy it. And once you enjoy it, then that's when the fruits of your labour come in. And you're sort of like, well, I'm so far from that, then am I doing this wrong? And it puts you into a mind melt until you keep on going. And what you start to feel, and I'm feeling this a lot, is as all this shit starts to come up to the surface and you process it and you allow yourself to feel. If you need to scream, scream. If you need to be angry, be angry. If you need to process it, process it. If you need to get really just embody all of those emotions to let it out, because then suddenly you turn around and go, the same things that used to trigger me don't trigger me anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's fair or not, because at the end of the day, I am all in on my intuition.
Yeah, exactly.
And again, I'll come back to, I have not got anything I've asked for, got everything I didn't. And right now, still with nothing that I asked for, I am absolutely grateful. And I can also say, before I've gotten everything, it is so f***ing worth it.
Yeah.
And I couldn't say that 3 months ago. I couldn't say that 5 months ago. And I believe it. And you know what? If I turn into the biggest delusional idiot that walks off the side of a cliff and everyone turns around and laughs, so what? One thing I did do is I followed my intuition no matter what. So wherever this road leads to, either zero or fucking hero, doesn't matter. Whatever the outcome is, it is. But again, my delusion's saying it's going to be pretty great. But you don't get that certainty. You don't get that validation. And that makes you so powerful, because suddenly you're not looking for anything outside of yourself to make what you need to make happen.
Yeah.
It is simply coming within. And that can only happen when you've been broken into a million pieces and then ground into a fine dust and then scattered into the air to then come back together.
And with the unwavering belief that this is all happening for my own good. It's all happening for my good.
Yes.
And
that is so hard to stomach during the journey.
100% it is. 100%.
It's right, but it's not easy.
There's one song that I listen to. This is kind of my process. There's one song that I listen to. It's called The Goodness of God. I sit on my ponder chair and I listen to that song, and two things. One, there's a bit where it says, your goodness is running after me. And in the times of my life where I really doesn't feel like there's much goodness, and there's a lot of pain, and there's a lot of hurt, and there's a lot of refining, and there's a lot of challenge and struggle and all that sort of stuff. Oh my goodness, sitting there and just letting that song wash over me. Like I said, I don't know how I could do this journey without knowing the heart of God is inherently good. And that is my delusion. Like, that's my faith. And the other is, and I sit in my ponder chair and I'll just say, show me what I'm not seeing. Just show me what I'm not seeing. And just by hearing that and closing my eyes and inviting another perspective, it helps me shift things so quickly, because the only reason I'm in misery is because I'm seeing miserable. Whereas if I just invite that opportunity to see differently, go, show me what I'm not seeing. What are you seeing that I'm not seeing? How is this for my good? It straight away helps me to shift that perspective, and it doesn't change a single thing in the circumstance. It doesn't make magical things appear. It doesn't take pain away. But what it does do is it helps me to see the purpose of it, helps me to see what it's doing and why it's happening for me. And then that is like the jet fuel required to keep me going.
And look, I found that works so long as the pain isn't at a certain level. And I've also found that I need to have the fuck you universe.
Oh, yeah. That's part of the processing, part of the journey.
Because it's sort of like, tell me what's the goodness in destruction? What's the light in the dark? Right? And I used to find that if I couldn't find my way into, I'm really hurting, I'm really bad, I'm processing something really big, and I'm angry, and all of these things, and I then try what am I not seeing? And I'm in the victim mindset sitting there, and then I start to shame on myself because all this work I've done, and I'm still just this idiot that can't even get this right. And then what I realised is, okay, well, I am that. Whatever that is, I am that. And if I need to rage, as in not at someone, but process through the emotion of rage and talk it out and just allow it to sort of come out, that's really important, because there's something that needs to shift. And sometimes you need to pass it with that and honour that feeling, because there's something coming up, because it's not pretty. It's not, I would love to have thought, and especially at the start of my healing journey, I could meditate through this. I could journal through this and have a cry.
I feel like we've spoken about this before, though, around spiritual bypassing.
Yeah. So, no, it gets ugly. It gets dark.
Yeah.
It gets ragey.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because, and what happens now is, as those feelings are allowed to come up, the coin comes up as well. And when the coin comes up, it means for everything you're going through, let's look at the other side of it. And then the emotion comes up, it's allowed, it's honoured, and then it releases. Because the thing is, when you are love and light, and you want to do the good, and you want to be good, and you choose good, it shouldn't be coming from the fact that you don't know how to be dark, that you don't know how to be evil. It's not the absence of evil. It's a choice. Because sometimes, and especially when you are going through this stuff and making decisions, to be love and light is what? Is to make sure everyone's okay. Is to be seen to be of peace with other people, when your decision on what is right may cause a conflict for these people, where you may need to be the monster in someone's story.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to be able to hold that polarity.
It's really, what is popping into my head is, because I used to really struggle to reconcile this with the Old Testament of the Bible. where there was a lot of
Right.
destruction and there was a lot of things, and there was a lot of stuff there. And anyway, I was studying this once, and I had a revelation. It was like, how can we see the good in destruction? Well, the way that I saw it was, if you are driving along and you hit a kangaroo, and that kangaroo is suffering.
Mm-hmm.
What is actually the most loving thing to do to that kangaroo? Put a bullet through its head.
Yeah.
And so often I see I guess in my life, some of the things that have hurt me and I haven't wanted to be, this has kind of gone down a way deep tangent off decision making, but
Next week on Rewind Podcast.
but has been around, there's been times where I've been put out of my misery. Like I've literally been through my own free will, through my own choices, through my own, I have chosen paths. I've done things. I've said things. I've created this suffering in my life, and on a number of occasions, the most loving thing that happened was to destroy it, just to destroy the whole lot, and there was new life in that. So it's
Absolutely.
really, that
It's like,
really helped me.
when you think about bushfires and how devastating they can be.
Yeah.
But there's and I think it comes back to yin and yang,
Yeah.
right? There's that whole balance, in the darkness there's a little bit of light, in the light there's a little bit of darkness, and it all sort of ebbs and flows. In this reality, this is what we're here to learn and to master and to alchemize, is the two. And we've been very good as a species up until now to really lead through sort of control, dark, and those type of things. And we're learning now to add more light to that. But it's not, the idea is not to get rid of the dark. You won't be able to. It's to balance it out and to know when to use it in a way. And the funny thing is, your intuition is your ultimate cheat code. Imagine you can't see, you can't hear, you don't know what you're doing, but your intuition's still telling you just go this way. And it's just really hard to listen to it when you're having to undo the programming. And I know we've spoken about it many times over the last 2.5 years, but there's a theme. But I think we might wrap this up.
Let's wrap
but
it
it's
up.
It's been a big one.
It's
We
been
might decide to call it there.
Yeah, it's been decision making featuring emotional processing and spiritual bypassing.
Yep. Well, look, I mean, but it is so relevant because decision making encompasses all of that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Until next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
We
Have
will
a great
see
week.
you then. Okay. Bye-bye.